We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. We're talking about maybe a little bit of the holiday blues during a holiday season that I think many of us have never experienced along these lines. All right. I think all of us are doing something one way or another a little bit differently than we have in the past because of the pandemic, and it can make it more difficult. So we thought we would do a program today along the lines of, what you can do psychologically to get by and deal with it. We're on the Plus. We're also streaming live on Facebook at newschannel5.com. Keithia says, I'm not doing anything different this year other than wearing a mask when I'm out and washing my hands. And I got my double dose of a flu shot. I am high risk, so when the COVID vaccine gets here, I'll get it. And good for you, Keithia. I'm the same way. I don't know about you right now on how you handle things. I have certain friends that basically don't leave their home and order things in, and they stay there and they're very cautious, and I respect that. I have a few other people I know, I wouldn't say they're friends of mine because most of my friends are abiding by it, but that just go about business like nothing's going on. They don't ever wear masks, and I stay away from them. But I go out. I will go shopping at Walmart or Kroger. I wear a mask. I'll buy my Christmas gifts if I'm not ordering them offline. If I go down an aisle at Walmart and it looks like it's several people there and maybe a few aren't wearing masks, I don't walk down. I just wait and go around. But I go about my business. I'll go to the gym that is open and work out. Now, I don't work out side by side to people. The YMCA I go to, I think, does a good job of keeping things clean and safe and separate, and they have a lot of guidelines there. But usually I just go in the pool and then I do some spin by myself in a room. But I mean, I'm living my life and heading out and going around, and I'm proof positive you can do it with a mask and being wise about where you go without, worrying about getting COVID. Knock on wood. I do know people that have done everything they can to protect themselves who have gotten it. And I do know some people that for whatever reason are taking no precautions whatsoever, and they haven't gotten it. And there can be a lot of reasons for that. I believe there are people walking around out there for whatever reason genetically are immune to it and don't get it. So those are all the things that we're considering as we approach the Christmas season, where we may not get to spend as much time as we'd like with our family. With us this morning to talk about it is Dr. Loida Williamson. She is there at Meharry Medical College, the chair of psychiatric school there. And good to have you, ma'am. We got you back online. We've got another phone call for you. Let's take that right now, and we'll go to Ann. Ann, good morning.
Good morning. I have a 30-year-old daughter that basically is a very strong individual that survived a very violent sexual assault as a teenager, went on to spend a year walking across America by herself for 12 months, and went on to make a documentary about it that has spent the last year by herself in New York, and right now is dealing very seriously with PTSD because of coronavirus, and was scheduled to come back to Nashville to spend time with us for 8 weeks, and our COVID numbers went out the chain and doesn't want to come home. And what this has done is caused resentment with her two sisters, and I understand it, but it has crushed my spirit and caused depression with me because of lupus. I've been in my house since February, and although I understand her PTSD, it's really crushed my spirit here at the holidays. And although I am trying to rationalize this to her two sisters, this has really made for some difficult conversations here at this time of the holiday, which is typically difficult anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So any helpful conversation I can get through the airway on MorningLine, I listen for each and every morning. So I will listen and take to heart anything you could say that would make this more easier for any family out there that is dealing with similar situations at this time of year. And have a blessed holiday.
You too, Ann. You're a wonderful member of our show here, and you keep calling in. And I'm sorry she's dealing with this. Ann's a wonderful woman, and she's got a terrific family. But what advice do you have for her, doctor? I hate to hear her feeling down like that. And she's not alone, that's for sure.
Right, Ann. Well, thank you for calling in today and sharing what you're going through and what your family's going through. And I'm so sorry to hear about the trauma for your daughter and the trauma that each of you are experiencing in a different way. I think when people are feeling frustrated and angry and depressed, they tend to focus their thoughts inward and think about what they're experiencing, not realizing that many other people are also experiencing different emotions. And so what might be helpful is to see if there's a way to have a conversation with your daughter, and if all the daughters can have a conversation together. If that's not possible, have a conversation with the two daughters here and help them understand that the separation right now is really unfortunate, but is necessary in some cases for people to feel safe, and that also at the same time your other daughter is going through emotional stress. So help them to understand that while they're feeling stressed, stop and think about what someone else, like your other daughter who experienced the trauma, how they might feel in her shoes. If they had been traumatized sexually, what would they want? How might they feel, and how that might be difficult? So being able to put themselves in someone else's shoes. And then just think about ways that you all can communicate, maybe in paper, writing notes or emails or texts, to be able to not only share their feelings, but also listen to how someone else is experiencing it. And then also recognize that we are believing that this pandemic is not going to go on forever, and that at some point your daughter will hopefully be able to come home and spend some time with you all. I do also want to encourage you to connect with your daughter and see if there's some way that she can get some therapy or counseling in the meantime. One of the benefits of this COVID-19 pandemic is that people are actually able to connect with mental health providers remotely through video conferencing on their phone or on the computer or even the telephone. So if she's in New York, I would encourage her to reach out and see what community mental health resource is available to her so that she can experience some counseling even now while she's going through in the pandemic.
I think you make a good point about just communication. And the good thing right now, too, is that there's easier ways to do it than ever before because of our cell phones, FaceTime. You know, it was interesting, too, with Ann, as you heard her say that she has lupus, okay? And so she's someone who considers herself more high risk. And when you talk about getting the exercise and getting out, it may be a little more difficult for her, but I know for a fact that she's able to get out if she can social separate on her own. But a lot of people dealing with physical limitations to begin with, on top of COVID and the great fear of maybe running into some exposure, that's something that's always there in the back of your mind. I don't know, does that mean you obviously have to balance the risks, but I think at the same time, if you put it off, recognize hopefully, and this is something that keeps me going, is I believe that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. This may be a Christmas that I choose down the road to forget, because like I plan on forgetting 2020 as best I can when it finally leaves, but that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, maintaining a sense of hope is absolutely important. So that's what helps us to be able to push through some difficult times. And sometimes we can gain that hope through a spiritual connection in terms of community, but there's some other things in terms of self-care and calming that can be helpful, even if you can't go out and do some physical activity. So being able to do some meditation, being able to do some deep breathing, inhaling, exhaling, and taking some minutes throughout the day to be able to calm our breathing down, calm our heart rate down. And then another technique I usually encourage people to do is visualization. So stopping, closing your eyes, and visualizing yourself, putting yourself at the beach for a few minutes and just trying to experience that with all your senses. or perhaps the mountains. So you're trying to smell the fresh air, hear the water flowing by, hear the birds. So doing those visualizations, deep breathing techniques, and tensing and relaxing your muscles periodically can help relax and sort of recenter yourself throughout the day to decrease the anxiety and also calm yourself during some down and sad periods.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was paying attention, but I closed my eyes and I imagined myself sitting in the Red Bar in Grayton Beach eating a mahi sandwich, and that's going to get me through Christmas. Listen, we'll take a break. We'll take a break. When we come back, more phone calls, more of our conversation with Dr. Lloyda Williamson over at Meharry right after this. Stay with us.
Is a Storm 5